Hello class, this is Manuel speaking, and today we're gonna study the different forms that we have in English to talk about future. So well, hopefully you'll be able to get something out of this video. Let's get started. Well, probably the most common structure to talk about future plans and stuff like that, well, is be going to. Now, be going to like this with be requires verb to be, and it's important to remember that because verb to be is not really going to appear like that. It's going to appear in its different present tense forms. So you're going to see it as am, is, or are, depending on the person. Something that you should already know. And if you don't, go back and review my video tutorial on present tense. And for example, on the first column on the slide, we have a bunch of sentences, and there you can see what I'm talking about. We have I am, you are, he is, she is, we are. All right. Then we have going to, and then we have the verb. And the verb does not require you to do any changes. Just the verb play, for example. So if you want to say voy a jugar, I'm gonna play. Vas a jugar, you are going to play. All right. And that's basically how we say it. If you want to say it, no voy a jugar, perdón, en este caso ver televisión, no voy a ver televisión, no vamos a ver televisión, etc. If you want to say it, you want to say those things, well, you just add the particle not to verb to be, and you end up having something like, I am not going to watch TV, you aren't. Remember, contractions are possible, he isn't going to watch TV, etc. And something that you should already be familiar with is the fact that we switch elements when we have questions with verb to be, and there you have it. You have something like, are you going to swim? Is he going to swim? Switching is for he, right? And that's basically it. Now, when do we use going to? That's a very important question and a very difficult one to answer, because normally what grammar books say is that we use going to talk about plans, to talk about things that have already been decided and thought about, but that's not always the case. I don't recommend you don't go very strict on those rules, because they can be blended sometimes. Now let's study the second most common way to talk about future plans, and that is will. It's an even easier structure, because here you don't have to worry about be or is or am or anything like that. You just use will and the verb in its simplest form, with every person or every pronoun. And look at the first column right there. I will play, you will play, he will play. Those are different ways to say yo jugaré, tú jugarás, él jugará, etc. Right? Now, if you want to make the sentence negative, you want to talk about something that you are not going to do, well, you just add not, and you can say will not, or you can have it in contracted form like won't, right? Like I won't watch TV, you won't watch TV, and that would mean no miraré televisión, no mirarás televisión, etc. And once again, we have to switch stuff if we wanna make questions, and that's why we have on the right column something like will I swim, will you swim, will he swim, etc. And as you saw, the structure is very, very simple, and pretty much all we need to do is to practice a little bit, and we should be able to use it very easily. The tricky part, once again, is to know when to use will or when to use going to. But once again, this is rather tricky, because again, theory says that we should use will to talk about predictions, or to talk about this immediate decisions, or to talk about things that you haven't planned through very well. But again, you may hear native speakers sometimes blending those rules and using will or using going to at will without paying too much attention to that set of rules. So, well, we won't get into much detail about that. We're just going to practice a little bit, And here we have some exercises. Basically, what we have is a bunch of sentences that have been scrambled. Your job is to unscramble them, right? To unscramble the words and to make coherent sentences using will or using going to. Notice that some of the sentences are questions. You can see the question mark right at the end. And remember what I said about questions. You're going to need to switch certain elements when it comes down to questions. So be careful with those. So I invite you to pause the video and write down the questions out of those words, right? Right, class? I hope you did as I required, and I hope you end up with something like this. These are basically the sentences. Notice the structure going to with verb to be. Notice the switch with questions, like question number 4, question number 2. Are you going to me? Is Ian going to? I hope you got all those things right. And as a final touch, we're going to talk about sentences that talk about future, but they are not written with either will or going to. What's more, they are written in present, and that's a little bit tricky and a little bit crazy, and I know that, but it is what it is. So if you have watched my videos on simple present or in present continuous, or if you have just studied those topics, well, you know that we normally use present tense or simple present to talk about routines. Actually, that's usually what teachers ask their students. We ask you to talk about your daily routine or somebody else's daily routine using present tense. And that's how we practice simple present. And we use present continuous to talk about the things that we are doing at the moment. Like right now, I am speaking, I am recording this video tutorial, you are listening to me, that's what you're doing right now. And we spend a lot of time trying you to understand those concepts and assimilate them, but now here I am telling you that they are not entirely true, that sometimes you can use present continuous or present simple to talk about future. And it's true, and it's very normal, and it's very common, so we need to learn how to do that. The important part is that we add future expressions, all right, future time expressions. Otherwise, the present continuous will be still about the moment, and present tense will still be about what we normally do. For example, look at the sentences that we have on the slide. On screen, we have a sentence like, are you doing anything on the weekend? Let's try to change that sentence. And let's say, are you doing anything? And stop right there. Are you doing anything? Or the second one, they're having a party. They're having a party. If I stop right there, what the sentences means is, are you doing anything now? Or they are having a party now, at the moment, in this very moment. But if I add time expressions like on the weekend, at Christmas, and the same goes for simple present sentences like the ones we have below, like the plane leaves at 10:30 in the evening, all right, and it's only 6 in the morning, all right, immediately the sentences become future, all right. That's all we need to remember, all right. If you just leave the sentences without any future time expressions, they maintain the same meaning of present. But if we add those time expressions, they can be used for future, and they are normally used that way. So it's something that you should be familiar with, right? Well, like I said, that was just an extra touch, an extra something I want to give you, and I think that covers the most important structures that we use to talk about future. And I hope that you got something out of this video and you enjoyed it. And that's it. I will see you in the next one.